All right. Hey, everyone. Shadow here from Cathedral Minis. Hope everybody's been well over the last year almost that I've been gone, 9 months. Just kind of wanted to talk to everybody and say hi again, let everybody know I'm still exist, still part of the channel. you know, it's kind of grown thanks to Mr. Scott over the last few months a little bit, and that's all been thanks to his ability to kind of keep up on some of the shorts and stuff. So I thought I'd address kind of why I disappeared for a while and what I've been doing. And hobby wise, I am just about a month of getting back into hobbying. I went to work for a company. I won't say who. Let's just say it's a company whose name is very similar to a famous soft drink. And I was working in manufacturing, and I was moving up, and I kind of got burned out. I'm gonna be honest. I pushed really hard for a year, was kind of making some stuff happen for me career-wise, and I graduated from school. I got my master's. I was ready to stay on, and they started to do some leaning out, and the writing was on the wall that there just wasn't going to be much point in staying beyond a few more months. And that's why I left. And I decided I was going to come home. I've got 3 kids, so I wanted to spend some time with them before they're older and those moments are gone. And I was kind of burned out with playing corporation games. So didn't get fired, didn't left on good terms, put in my 2 weeks notice. I just I was just tired. I saw people that had been with a company for 20 years kind of getting sidelined, and having been there just under a year, what chance do I have? If they're sidelining 20-year-old people or 20-year-old veteran people there, what chance does a guy that's only been there a year have? So I kind of came home and decided to be with my kids. So yeah, anyways, that's where I've been. It was hard work, made some money, made some friends, and that's it. So what have I been working on? Well, Scott and I filmed a battle report, which we absolutely screwed up. Due to laziness on our part, inexperience on our part, tons of inexperience, right? Because we're new to this. And due to just not having some proper equipment, we really messed it up. It was very shaky. It was very, I don't know how you'd put it. It just wasn't quality, and we didn't want to. Scott said it would be embarrassing to post. I was like, we can make it work, but I agree with him to it. In its natural form, it would have been embarrassing. So what we're going to do is we're going to refilm it. That battle report was supposed to be the introduction for the last themed army project I worked on, which was a halfling Bretonnian army, and the models came out adorable. The list was actually pretty good. So that's where we're at. I kind of built a halfling Bretonnian army with a theme, and kind of like, what if the Lady of the Lake decided that maybe a halfling group was valorous, and so she kind of bestowed her blessing upon those halflings, and cute army. Instead of Pegasus Knights, I have Pegasus Knights. I'll link the when I do a video about them, I'll link the creator where I got the STLs, because he just did an absolutely fantastic job with the sculpts and with the theme and the comedy and everything else. So yeah, it's there. And what I'm working on now is a themed ogre army using Titanforge miniatures from my mini factory, which I'll link in the description below. You probably can't see me pointing down, but I'm pointing down. But yeah, so this is just rattle canned. This is my undercoat. But this is the Stonehorn, I believe is. Yeah, that would be what they would be called. Stonehorn / Thunder Tusk. And that's what he's going to be used for. There's a general that rides him and some other stuff. Looks like I got a small leak of resin coming out here. That's what UV flashlights are for. Have to re-undercoat that spot. Must have been hollow and I missed a cavity when I was draining. These little UV flashlights are like $2 or $3 on Amazon from numerous people. And if you use any kind of resin, UV resin, or just, you know, really any kind of resin, these are an excellent resource. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not affiliated with Titanforge. I just really like the models for this, and I thought this would be kind of a cool way to do a themed. I'm not going to set him on there because that sand from AK is still wet. AK Sand, another great product. But yeah, he's going to be kind of coming up. I'm going to do a resin pour on the water here. This was all rattle canned, and then I kind of did I put some, the base layer of the sand was acrylic paste. And then I put the sand over the top to kind of give it some depth. And then I'll tape off and do a very light resin pour where he's kind of coming up on that beach. I might build the sand up a little bit more too. That way the water kind of flows up onto the sand. I'm resisting the urge to build like a small sand castle down there just for detail. But yeah, so that's going to be the theme of this army. I've got here an iron gut. I took his ball and chain off so I could paint behind him. Or his mace, or whatever you want to call it. This is very initial stages, work in progress. I'm just kind of goofing around with some options for paint here. I want to make the flesh. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or tips on doing like flesh that has been underwater for a while. You know, might be a little greenish or gray, bluish gray. You know, from being underwater. That would be awesome because a lot of these ogres actually have barnacles and like starfish growing on them. This is a really cool detail that Titanforge put on there, but you can tell like there's some barnacles, and some of the heads have barnacles attached to them as well. I kept them all helmets. I like the deep sea diver helmets. I kept them all helmets, except I'm printing a head off for this guy right now because I realize he's the musician. He's got this giant horn, almost like a conch shell or something that he's picked up, so I'm gonna put a bear head right there. But yeah, definitely gonna be doing some airbrushing on these. Definitely gonna be working on this crab. And so yeah, that's where I was. That's where I've been. That's kind of what I'm working on. There's a lot of stuff going on my table. I've got boxes of some War Master minis here we're working on for Araby. I've been doing a little bit of thinking about getting into War Master, so it's not as simple as just printing the army and going, because, well, you got to have some terrain in that scale. I've always been aware of War Master, but I'd never really played. I even have the old War Master book my mom picked up for me when I was, year 2000. So that would have been 25 years ago. I would have been 12. Yeah, she picked that up for me, and then to a young Shadow, the rules were very confusing. Relooking at them 25, almost 30 years later, I was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. And it's very similar to some of the Black Powder Civil War miniature games and stuff that I play. So I was like, you know what, Scott, let's play War Master. And so Scott's kind of messing around with, I think he's thinking Bretonia was what he was looking at. And that would be kind of cool because there's some theme stuff between Araby invading Bretonia and then Bretonia going back and crusading against Araby. So yeah, maybe we can do some thematic stuff. And this isn't something we'll probably do on film. It's more just entertainment for him and I, as he moves ever closer to retirement and I return to retirement. I think that you'll see a lot more content. One thing to think about is if you guys want to see something, we have floated around different kinds of content on this channel as we learn and we try to figure out what people want. Old World is our bread and butter. Scott and I have a lot of nostalgia for Old World. I think I've said this in a prior video, but I grew up in a rural area, very rural area. Closest game store was an hour and a half. Most tournaments were 2.5 hours away from where I grew up. So I was into this hobby. It's been my passion since I was 9 years old or 10 years old, but I always focused more on the playing. Growing up in a small cow town, 1,500 people, there's not a lot of people that are going to be interested in Warhammer, especially at that time. Being nerdy was not, as mainstream as it is now. It wasn't as accepted, and I was always kind of, outcast for having that. So for a long part of my life, I actually hid that this was my hobby. When I first joined the army, I was concerned about how other people would view it and whether or not it was macho enough, and all this other stuff. And the truth of the matter was I found more gamers in the Army than I found, ever locally. And so it kind of got me out to being more outgoing and open about what I do for a hobby. And obviously now, if you're following anything that's going on with Warhammer, it's bigger than it's ever been, and they're making billion-dollar deals with Amazon and doing all this other crazy stuff. So yeah, that's where we're at. So in my free time, I've been working on developing a game with my oldest son revolving around kaiju. We've kind of been thinking about, some kind of rule system for that. And him and I have been working on that for, 2 years. Because as any boy that's around his age, early teens, man, I'm telling you, Godzilla's the thing. So we're obviously not going to copy that IP, but we're kind of looking at some like kaiju-esque game design and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where we've been at. I haven't done too many projects since I posted. I think the last thing I posted was a field last August. I did make a lake recently, which I think came out pretty well, and I might do, but I know Scott's getting ready to do a pond video, so I'm probably not going to copy the pond video right now. And that's just kind of that. So just kind of what we're looking at for terrain and things of that nature. But yeah, if you're interested in seeing War Master content, we would love to know about that. If you're interested in seeing more Warhammer Old World, you'll definitely be seeing that, because we're never going to stop playing Old World. Old World is our bread and butter. Even if they, I don't know, somehow they change the rule set over to be completely like Age of Sigmar again, Scott and I would still be playing old editions of Old World. Or Warhammer Fantasy Battles. That's just what we do. We were playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles before Old World even launched, so we were actually back into the swing of it, and it kind of caused some problems, because as we moved through, we started with 6th edition, we played some games there, went to 7th, played some games there, and played some games in 8th, and man, I'm telling you, we muddled our brains up to the point where it is still hard. Scott's got a better handle on it than I do, but it's still hard for me to remember what edition of rules is what. And it's not that I'm not struggling with the rules or the concepts. It's just there's a lot of information, a lot of games up there, and sometimes I get muddled when I'm trying to access those. But yeah, I hope this was informative. I hope that it kind of gave people an idea that we're not disappearing. This isn't a dead channel. It's just been extremely busy, and hopefully now with me being home and free to develop videos and do some of that stuff, that's what you'll see more of. And thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. If you're one of our 166 subscribers I think we had this morning, I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate what you guys do. As we move forward, Scott and I are kind of feeling more and more drawn to this. This very well may become what we do, is kind of as he gets closer to retirement age, and as I try to figure out how to spend more time with my kids, at least while they've still got some young years left, this may be what we do, just to kind of get that going and keep ourselves going. So yeah, thanks for being here. All the silly YouTube stuff that you always hear on every video, please like and subscribe. It actually really helps us out. We'd like to monetize this year. That's our big goal. At least hit that 1,000 sub mark, so we can start to do some other stuff and see how this kind of works out. So thanks for being here again, and have a great day.